Everyone, I'm back with another video. In this video, I would be telling you about how to create the model-driven apps. So in PowerApps, as you might be knowing that there are two type of apps we can create. One is model-driven and another is canvas. So how to make a decision that which one is to choose? So simple rule is compare the data complexity versus UI requirements. So when I say data complexity, so I mean if you are working with a lot of transactional data and a lot of referential data, then the obvious choice is to go for the model driven apps. And when you are working with a intuitive UI where you want to have a very good UI, UX is an important factor to design that apps, then possibly choose the canvas apps, because model driven does come up with the forms where you can also customize, but the kind of intuitive look it lacks a bit. But with the data it works very well, and it automatically gives you a lot of capability of creating views, forms, and as well as the interactive dashboards. So with the data sort of stuff, I mean like for the financial applications, you may choose the model driven app. So there in the enterprises there are a lot of financial application which has to be migrated from old platform to the new one. Then Power Platform based model driven apps are the good choice to choose. So saying that, I will start with a demo and I'll be explaining you how to create a simple model driven app from scratch, and how to get that deployed in your production environment. So in PowerApps you can go to your environment. So environment you can pick from this sort of environment. So one is by default, which would be your production environment, but for the trial one or for the testing you can create one POC environment and then play with that. Or you may want to play with the directly production environment if you are having two separate instances of your license. So to start with, we have to go to the solution, because we'll be creating one new solution over here for this demo. So in this demo I'll be just making one simple room booking system with this Power Model Driven app. I'll just name my solution as meeting room booking system. So in the publisher you can choose between these three. So you can just pick one, it is default publisher, and create it. So we got our environment. Now to start with, so if you think about developing any application, so there should be 4 steps to develop it. One is to create the data backend. The second is to define the security rules, and the third is to create app, and the fourth is to customize and make it more beautiful. So in starting, I'm just creating one data entity, which would I get under the entities. I'll just create entity. So I'm going to create one new entity. So as we are developing meeting room booking system, then one entity should be meeting room, where all the rooms will reside. So I'm just creating it. So it may take a couple of seconds to have that in place, but we can keep on working meanwhile. So I'm just adding another field, that is meeting room capacity. So this we can pick the data type from this. So it should be a whole number, because we are going to bind the business rule with the whole number as well. So I'm just creating this. Okay, so my entity is provisioned, so I'm just adding another couple of things. For example, this location field where the meeting room is. So this location field should be option set. So we can create our own custom option set by creating this new option set option. So I'm just saying, let's say my meeting room is in New York. Let's say New Delhi. Buy and save. Alright, we got our primary fields created for the meeting room. Next step is uh, going to the business rules. So as this would be the master entity, so I would not be defining any business rules over here. I'll be just going to the data. So I need to create the records for it. So what different rooms we are having. I'll just create a couple of records there. So as you see, this because we did not customize the form, so this form just took the default things. So because it's not coming with the room capacity and the room location thing, so we need to customize our forms. So I can just go over there under the main form. I'll be just clicking edit form. If I just click edit form, it will edit the form in the same window. Otherwise it will create a new tab. So I'll just open that in a new tab. So this is a modern editor. So if any one of you worked early with the Power App, then you must have seen the different look and feel with the classic one. You can still switch to the classic because the Microsoft has not mapped all the things with the modern as of now. So possibly for a couple of stuff you may need to switch to classic. For example, field security and those stuff, and the mappings has to be like done via the classic view. So right now with this view, so modifying this main view is very simple. You have all the fields over here, you can just drag and drop. So I'm just dropping it, room capacity, and where is that location? Okay, so let's see, I'm just saving it. I'll just go back and check that where is my field, that room location. So location is there, so I did not save the entity, so I need to save it. Now I'll be just customizing the main form to capture the entry again. There we go. So I have room locations, so I'll just drag and drop there as well. So if I click on publish, it will automatically save and publish the form, and it will be available for us. I'm just clicking on publish. So now I will create records for the meeting room. So remember, these are the master data which we are going to use in our room booking list while booking the room. So I'm just creating few meeting rooms. Let's say Jasmine, room capacity is 12, location is New York, save. I can create another one, that is Lily, location capacity, let's say 20, and location is Delhi. Then create a new, and let's say Hibiscus, and capacity, let's say 5, and the location is Dubai. And save and close. It will close the window automatically. So if I go back to my data, if I look there, I will see 3 meeting rooms created. There we go. And now going back to the solution, I would like to create another entity. So right now you can see meeting room booking system. This having this location, these are custom fields. So if the solution only displays the custom fields, I'm going back to the solution. I'm just clicking. Sorry, I'm just clicking on my meeting room system. I create a new entity again. So this entity I need for saving my room booking entries. I'm just book the rooms, though the name is confusing, but this entity is for saving the data, the user data. For example, if somebody is booking the room from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m., then the records falls under this. So this entity would be having relationship with our earlier created entity. I'm just creating quick rooms. So in the background, the entity will get provision. I can keep on creating the fields. So in this, I would need start booking, start date time, and there should be date time field, and end date time, this will be date time, save. And what else I would need? I would need the user. So as we are not going to create user entity because we already have user entity automatically provisioned for us in this environment. So I'll be using that under the relationship. So I'm just going relationship. Now it's an important part where I have to define that how this book rooms entity is related to our meeting rooms entity. So if I just click on this relationship, so you can see many to one, one to many, and many to one. So the entity would be many to one. So I'll be just choosing the meeting room. There we go. Yeah. So all the other things you can keep it as is. And as I said, I will be using the users as many to one as well, and it's automatically linked up over here. So I'm just saving this entity. So this is the owner for this item. So still, let's say if somebody wants to add up the thing, add up the meeting room for somebody else, then the delegation should work. In that case, I can choose the automatically or the auto provision entities, which is user. I'll just find that out. Here we go. So I'll be creating one relationship with the user. So I'll just type it as employee so that I can book on behalf of anybody. So I'm just clicking done. So this will create another relationship, this relationship tab. So now going to the business rule. So these are the business rule where we can do some quick validations for the forms, for the data entry. So I just pending changes to entity. Okay, I need to click save entity. Then in these validation, I can do like the entered number of rooms capacity should be numeric, or it can't be more than 30 people, or possibly start date and time should be the end date time should be greater than start date time. So that sort of validation I can do. So I'm just quickly doing one simple one. So you may explore it going further. So in this new condition, I'm just checking room capacity. So in this the conditions, we automatically get the source entity and whom we want to create it, because I am writing this business rule on the room booking entity, so it will give all the fields related to room booking. So let's say I am making a validation on end date should be greater than field, and then I can choose another field that is start date time. So if it does, then what it should do, if yes, then I can add one let's say show error. So I need to just make it less than or equal to. So if less than or equal to, then it will show error, and in error I can bind this error with the end date time, where I can just give a message, and date time should be greater than start date time. So this is how I can do the validation. You can just save it. So validation is successful, and the important thing is this validation will not get applied until we click activate button. Activate. So now this validation would be available for our forms. So far so good. So we have created fields, relationship, business rules, and now this view thing. So these are default view which we get automatically. We can create our new views, or we can modify the views as well. So for active rooms, as you saw that there is out of the box status activity. Based on this this active rooms views was created, so you can have your custom view as well based on room booked or open, sort of that. So for now I am just not touching these views. I'm just going to the forms because this thing would be important. So these three forms are the out of the box forms. The main form is the form where we actually capture the data. So this is the important one. So I'll just added this because I would like to have few another fields over here with out of the box fields. Okay, so I am just creating the start, adding the start date and the end date time. So now I have this name, and name I can change the name field label as meeting name, right? Okay, so this meeting name owner, I can just put the what else is left. Okay, so I can just add one component. This is a quick view component. I'll just put it over here. So this is what actually I would like to make a relationship, because I would be selecting the meeting room. Then the meeting room details should be displayed in some pane so that I can see what capacity that meeting room has, and I can book accordingly. I'm just selecting this meeting room and this information. Done. So now I'll just make this form look a bit better. I'll just go to the form, and I'll just change the formatting of it. Instead of one column, I'll just pick two columns. So just clicking publish. So now our form is published, and the next thing is data. So this data we would be capturing from our app. So now we are done with our entity data model. So now we'll just go to our solution back. So in solution now I will be creating in solution now I will be creating one app, and this time I will be choosing model driven app. So as I said, because this form this meeting room can have large number of rows and the large number of data, the transaction thing can grow like the time to time. So I would be choosing model driven app, and as well as the direct use case of using this model driven app work with the financial application. For example, some chargeback application, some creating data, transaction data. Let's say somebody wants to get the budget approved for something, then it should fall under this. So that sort of application we can create, though the UI on the control, the amount of control on what we are having on the UI is a bit limited in comparison to Canvas, but still it's a right way of doing the application quickly, and the time to market would be very quickly. Just creating this app meeting room, booking system, and this logo and the welcome page you can uh, change according to your requirement. I'm just clicking done. So now the interesting part. So once we create this app, this automatically gives a few sections, and the first is sitemap. So this is the actual navigational component, how your application would navigate through. So if I click on this edit pencil icon, then I'll get this area. So what this area means, that what would be there on your app on the home page, and what would be in the left pane or the left tabs. So in the area, I'm just renaming it as booking room booking system. In the new group, I can rename it as meeting room meeting room. And this sub area, this is the critical part. So in the sub area, with what entity you would like to match it up. So I can select entity, I can type uh, book rooms, that is my entity, and I can give it a title or ID, so I'm just leaving as is. So here we are having this. Now as we have created meeting rooms, the detail of meeting rooms as well. So somebody who would like to book a room may want to see the details of the meeting room, then I can have the another area, or even I can have another group under this existing area only. So let's say I'm just adding another group, that is meeting room info. So what this group area would have, it will be having one subgroup, sub area, and that would be our meeting room entity. There we go. So it will display all the meetings from there. So I'm just clicking save and close. So now we have sitemap done. So as you see, whatever entity I chose, it actually displayed beneath it. So the other two things are dashboard. So because of the time constraint, I would not be covering dashboard, how to create an interactive dashboard, but possibly next session I'll cover that up. Quickly, I would like to capture this business process flows. So this is being used with any of the model driven app to provide the business logics. So for example, I would like to tie up any approval flow with any entity items, then I would be creating a new business process flow from here. So in this our meeting room stuff, we would not be having that any sort of business process flow attached. So I'm skipping it, but I'll just give a quick shot like how this business process flow works. I'm just creating one new, and this would not be having any relationship with meeting room booking, but just for sake you understand it, so I'm just showing you it very quickly to you. Okay, so I'm just typing a business, let's say meeting room business process. Okay, so I need to select the entity for it. So let's say I'm tying up with the room booking. Meeting room, what is that? Book rooms here. So now this will give us some business process management pane where I can define, drag and drop my business process and data components. I'll just show you that. So like it does not have any relationship with the meeting rooms, but still showing you. So this gives us this thing, the stages where I can define the data step components. Let's say in any of the application, if I need to capture some data from user, then I would be using the data step component. For example, let's say I am capturing the status from the user. Okay, And after status, if I can add the other, let's say, condition. So in the condition, let's say if status is active, is value, and I can choose is active, then it should allow to book a room. So I'll just add another stage, and in the stage I'll just simply say if I would like to capture, then I can capture, or otherwise I can just make it okay, room booked. I can set something there. So though, like, I'll just capture, let's say, where is that employee, and just saving it. So this is just for showing you how this works. Otherwise, if your this application needs it, then you can have it. Otherwise, you can skip this as well. All right, done. So you can see added security rules. You can define the security rules for this BPM, who can access what over here. So this is very critical and important stuff. So though I would like to cover the security rules in a separate altogether session, because that is pretty much important. So for now, I'm just keeping that open, just closing it. So now we have created sitemap, we have created business process, entities are there. So we are almost there. I'll just close. So now in the components, I have now my own entities, this app. So everything almost done. So I'll just go back to my app. I'll just publish it. So I should get a play button over here. So these are model driven apps. I'll just click on it. Okay, so now I have that play button. So I'll just play. Good. So this is the dashboard. This is the first page of our app. So though I told you that we would be creating interactive dashboard going forward. So for that we will be using that dashboard customizer stuff. But right now, you can see in the left navigation we have that book and meeting room, which was one area, and that book rooms was sub area. And again, this meeting rooms and meeting room info. So this meeting room info should be displaying all the meeting rooms which we have. So as you see, this is only displaying the name and the created date, but not the capacity and the location. So because we did not customize this active rooms view, or we did not create any custom view. So though from the end user perspective, end user can create a view, whatever view the fields they want based on any of the condition from here. I'm not going in that detail, but I'm just going back to the room booking system. So if I click on this new button, so you see these are custom page which I show you earlier. And if you see in the top, you can see that there is a one visible flow with the new stage, because I did not, for the sake of showing you, I showed that you. So if you see, if I click over here, it gives me active state of this meeting room, and we cannot proceed to the stage 2 until unless we save this record. So I'm just saving it. Let's say this is a PowerApp meeting, and with the PowerApp meeting, the start date and time. So you see the time cannot be less than this. It actually gave that validation error. So I just realized that I did not put that meeting room in place, this drop down for selecting the meeting rooms. I need to go back to the designer, and under the meeting room entity, I need to go back there. And this is again a one shortcut way of editing your forms. I'm just clicking on it, so it will throw me that form. I just added this meeting room drop down. I'm just selecting, creating this PowerApp or model driven meeting, and I'm selecting hibiscus. Okay, so as while creating that form, I created that as an lookup or a quick view form, and it showed me all the entries related to this information, this meeting information. So from the lookup thing, I can search for employees within the company. So right now I got one. So I'm just looking for this person and start date and time. Let's say 14th and till this. I believe. Okay, so I believe while creating that business rule, we created that at the wrong side, at the wrong way. So it's checking with the wrong condition. So that's not a problem. So we can just anytime go back and change the business rule. So I told you about this BPM as well. So I'm just saving this record. Okay, so now this record is saved. You can just navigate across this. So this model driven training meeting is there, meeting room is there. So I think like we are almost there. So in this session we learned about how to create the entities under the CDS, and then how to create the customize the forms, and then how to embed the BPM, the business process flows with the entities, and as well as like how to create the sitemaps. So I hope this model-driven app you're finding it helpful for creating real-time applications for your organization in a quick time. Consider the scenario where you have to build 50 applications in just a couple of months time, then possibly going through a route of doing from some scratch development even in .NET or SharePoint would not be that much feasible, or would not that much cost effective. Then this power platform with the power model driven apps would be a solution for it. So I think like you like this session. That's it for me. Thank you.